Missing out on the content. Every time we're here, boom, 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 as soon as we see each other.
I need to just hit record straight away because we always wind up saying stuff before record. And I'm like, oh, I wish I had that on film. Like your glorious hair today, which is catwalk hair.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, what you can't see is like there's rat. Like it's a rat now.
You know what though? Those rat bits are like the volume. I find when I now my hair's a bit flat because I just showered, but if I had a nap on said hair and mussed it all up, it would have been perfect.
It's true. It's true. I like that. It adds volume. I appreciate that.
It's totally
you always spin it with a positive note. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that you are up bright and early. You are looking stunning with a palm right across your chest. It looks great.
I don't know. That's what the dress was called, mysticism dress. I should explain that when I'm like, it's my mysticism. You're like, okay, Melanie.
I love it. Well, we're just here to record a bonus fun scene behind the scenes of just us chatting because we always really do have guests on the show. And so it's fun to just kind of chit chat, just you and me sometimes.
Totally. So it's just a short episode today. And I wanted to chat about, you put up a post yesterday and I just loved it. And I just feel like, you know, querying is so hard. And the more we talk about that. So I want to read your post that you put up, which was just received a random rejection letter from an agent today. I queried them a year or so ago. Since then, I've signed with my agent and sold my book at auction. So no hard feelings.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, honestly, and when I did get my offers of rep from agents, I had emailed, you know, all the agents that still had my stuff, and I never heard back from this person. I just assumed it was a no. It was a no, just a year later. But yeah, querying is this weird sort of torture, but to me, honestly, that rejection, and it came after I had just got some like good news from my agent about Sinner's Isle. And it was funny because, you know, I got the ping that I got an email. So I was thinking it was from my agent, and nope, it was a, hey, you know, Sinner's Isle is not for me. I'm gonna, you know, pass on this project. And I'm like, what? Who is this? And yeah, it was an agent I'd queried about a year and however long it's been. And it's funny because like the no's, no matter what, even where you're at in life, sting, right? Because it's still because it's still a no. It's still a, you know, like, but it was funny because then I was like, I mean, obviously I'm past that, but how dare you? How dare you say no to me, even though I didn't ask anymore? But it's just, it really does like show and prove to me time and time again, these kind of things, how subjective this world of publishing is. Because
totally,
I got so many no's, but I got the yeses too. But really, there's so many no's. It's like a constant flow of no, you know?
And I think it's like that. We've talked about like the weird pace of the publishing world. It can literally be just you and the dust devils. What do you call them in America? The dust devils, is it?
Sure.
Tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
Just be you and the tumbleweeds in your inbox for so long, and then out of the blue, things can happen, you know? And it's something I braved Twitter the other day just to drop the podcast, and then I ran away because But before I ran away, I saw this like kind of trending post about people kind of whinging about how slow the trenches are at the, well, I shouldn't say whinging. It's tough out there, right? Like
Yeah.
they were sharing their feelings about how tough it is in the trenches at the moment and about being ghosted and stuff and not hearing back from agents. And the agent who had posted was kind of like, well, what do you think is a ghosting in the agent world? Like, what's the timeframes you're expecting? And like some were unreasonable, like that particular agent had heard like a week or something. I'm just like, bitch, please. And other people were like, no, like a year to two. And then I assume it's done. But like, it sounds ludicrous, but it's actually like not a completely unrealistic thing. On the other side, like, yes, you can get these. And like, I've had the same, like rejections float through like over a year later. And I'm just like, I am no longer querying that book. That version doesn't even exist because I've edited it. But yeah, just like the flip side of like, sometimes the wait can be good. It's some of the timing, some of the like, and I think maybe sometimes I would love to know, I'd love to like, when we get some agents on, we have to pick their brains, like whether sometimes they read something like, oh, I like this, but not right now. And then they just kind of sit on it.
Yeah. No, and I gotta say, like, I think sometimes we forget, or for me personally, I forget even how much agents are doing behind the scenes or in front of the scenes, whatever. They're doing so many things. Like just for me, for example, you know, I'm trying to come together with some new pitches for book 2, whatever it is. And I sent them to my agent first so she could read through them. So that's just me sending her 50 pages to see if she could read through it really fast and get it back to me so then I can send it off. You know, and I'm just one person. Meanwhile, she's dealing with, you know, also getting things going on another end of Sinner's Isle, and then all the other clients she has, you know, getting them, making sure they're getting their deals, getting all their stuff. And then on top of that, still looking, because at the end of the day, it's a business and they still have to hunt for, you know, projects. But there's just so much. I mean, you know, it's just like there's so much behind the scenes of what they have to do. And a lot of it's probably not even that fun.
Right?
You know?
I just keep thinking to myself how much I struggle to stay on top of my to be read myself. You know, and that's with only just having me and my own work to like market and work on and whatever, like actually trying to stay on top of it all. Like, and I just find this really comforting, like something that I have mentioned before on the pod, but I'll mention again, like I actually, because it came into my mind again this week, I actually still have my Pitch Wars book under consideration by 2 major Australian publishers. And, you know, I'll be honest, I was like, it's probably dead. You know, it's probably dead. You know, like it's coming up on like a year. But then I was like, you know what? In the current market, they would have already rejected it if it was totally dead in the water because I pitched to them live. So I will eventually hear back from them. And I did touch base with them and they were just like, I'm so sorry. We're so backlogged. Like if you're actually nice and you've like had a real pitch opportunity like this, there's just humans on the other side, just like doing their best and so overloaded with work. And it's not like they can just flick on the audiobook and read your manuscript, you know, if they're gonna like actually give it the time. And seriously, this synchro destiny thing, the reason I'm so positive about that right now, I was like, I came across this article, which I just feel like is everything. And you know, Angela, I'm all here for debunking the overnight success thing. And just like the reality of how, because I guess when I saw people like, you know, saying, oh, it's so hard in the trenches at the moment, I was like, yeah, it is so hard. And I was like, but you know what? It always is. And this article, so this is like a short blog post by the Brandon Sanderson, who everybody knows who he is, right? Like he's major. And another person you would expect just had success come to them just by looking at how big they are.
Yeah.
But so I came across this little article the other day and it just floored me. So it's a how did you get published article, of course. So the journey from starting to write, which to actually getting published, was long, frustrating, and difficult. I wrote 13 novels before I sold Elantris, which was my 6th. The big change for me happened when I managed to figure out how to revise. Of course. I always had good ideas and got better and better at storytelling, but it was the power of revision that finally got me published. It took about 8 years of dedicated writing and being rejected. By this time, I had already written about 12 or 13 novels, which I was trying to market for publishing. I was still working the graveyard shift at the hotel, and eventually one of the manuscripts I'd sent somewhere got me a call back from an editor who had finally looked at my manuscript and wanted to buy it. I actually got the phone call as a voicemail. It was from an editor that I'd sent the book to 18 months before.
Wow.
18 months before. By that time, I had pretty much given up on it. 18 months is a lot longer than you'd expect for them to ever get back to you. You figure, okay, it's either lost or they didn't like it and just rejected it, but forgot to send the letter. It's a funny story, though. The one who gave it to the person finally contacted me was actually an agent I had met and talked to at a convention. He said to me then, "Oh, you seem so nice." And later told me that it was because I was such a nice guy. He didn't want to just reject the book without looking at it. I guess that got me a lot of points because he sat on it for all those 18 months before he eventually looked at it. But by then, all my contact info was wrong because during the time I'd sent the book out, I moved and stopped using AOL for email, blah, blah, blah. So they had to actually track him down. I'm just cutting to that part. And he was like, "Hi, I don't know if this is the right Brandon Sanderson, but if it is, you sent me a manuscript 18 months ago. I finally started looking at it last night. I got a few hundred pages in and I knew I had to call you and make sure it's still available because I think I want to buy it." I called him back and then I called the agent I had met because it seemed like his editorial style matched mine. He handled the negotiations and I became an author.
Wow.
Isn't that? I got chills reading it again.
I got chills too. It's so encouraging. It's just so like, it just makes you feel like, and the fact that he was, he was a nice guy. And so he wanted, it was just like, it just shows you the human side.
Yes.
And like putting goodness, which we always talk about all the time, putting that goodness out into the universe and, like being a part of community, it all pays off. And it might take a little bit longer, but it's going to happen.
Yeah. Like, I'm getting shivers as you talk because to me, this is just the goods. Like, this is like part of what I come to writing and the writing industry for is these dedicated, hardworking, just like not going to take no for an answer because I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing and I have these stories to tell. And that's what I come to this place for, this writing world. And just seeing that, I was like, damn, like I should know by now that behind every success is, years
Books.
and years. But I think like we're like programmed to just think that maybe he had it handed to him because he looks so successful, like for a very long time. But no, this guy was like working the graveyard shift at a hotel on like, and I think the earlier article that he wrote on it was like, his family literally thought he was crazy by this point, like after 13 books, still nothing getting picked up, like, that he just kept going, So I just wanted to share that today on our mini pod. It was your post reminded me all about it. So everyone go read that post because actually your caption was great too. And I just honestly think that the more we talk about it, I find it really encouraging. And so I hope everyone else does, because I just think if there's a quote by R.L. Stine somewhere that's like, like people ask, what do I have to do to be a writer? And he's like, and I say, like, there's nothing you can do. You already know you're going to be a writer. You don't have to tell those people. And I'm just like, if you feel that, you don't have to fucking go for it until something happens, you know?
Yes, no, absolutely. And like, I just think what would have happened if I would have just given up after my first book, because I did query it. It didn't go anywhere. What would have happened if I was like, that's it, I'm done, and to think, like, for him, he had what, 8 books that he had done or written, and he didn't give up because he knew he was a writer.
Yeah.
And it's gonna happen. And I'm so glad, to be honest, it didn't happen for me the first time around, because I wasn't the writer I am today. I didn't understand a lot of the things that I do now, and I'm honestly really happy. But to be honest, like, I think what makes a writer an author is just someone that knows how to persevere. It's someone that has the guts and the strength and the bravery to not give up. And I just, all of the stuff we talked about just now just made me just feel like so much like joy and excitement for what's to come for me and for you and for all of our writer friends, because I think hopefully we're all learning it is a hard ass business to get into, but there's a beauty in this struggle that we're going through. And it's just going to, it's going to make us stronger and more aware and more grateful. And,
But yeah, like, it can take 10 years. Like, it can take 10 years. And you might have to be working super hard that entire time. Like, you just don't know. Like, there is a bit of a fickleness to it as well, and a bit of lady luck on timing and stuff. But like, what I see is that hard, continuous work, and what you said, that perseverance thing. And I see it in all of my friends now, the people I put close to me now. There's this thing, and it's like, I will continue to better myself, not just as writers, like as people. I would, you know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds like intense, but I just, like, as I watch my friends grow, and like, same as what you said, like, thinking back to who I was when I got my little indie book published, like, I was not the same person, and the journey, I think, is like molds you and prepares you, hopefully, for what's to come. And it might not be Brandon Sanderson's career, let's be honest. Like, that's like a huge one. But like, I think with consistent, you like pouring your soul and honing your craft, that you can make a contribution and your voice can be heard,
Like, yes. I love it. I'm happy you brought this up, and I'm happy that we decided to just hop on and record this, because it really is so encouraging. And I think so many people, need to hear what he had to say, and just like, I think it's a beautiful thing. So,
well, it encouraged me this week, and I was just like, you know what, we're both ready this morning. Let's just, sometimes it's that synchro destiny. You put that post up, and it reminded me, I literally put a little note in my emails, like, read that post if we have time.
I love it. It worked out perfectly. And so
that's our mini pod. That's our mini pod. You've got to collect your kids now, don't you?
Yeah, I got to go run and get the kids now.
I'm so glad we got on too. It got like deep.
It did. We went there really fast.
Of the Publishing Persuasion, getting you there really fast. That's our new tagline.
Yes, that is perfect.
I know it is inappropriate, and I love it. All right. Thank you all for tuning into our little surprise 20-minute episode. We're going to let Angela go collect her kids. And tune in next week when we have an amazing guest.
Yes, we have Sarah coming on. I'm so excited. She sounds amazing. Her book sounds so cool. So I'm really, really excited to have her on.
Yes. We'll see you next week. Okay, go pick up your kids.
Okay.
Love you.
All
Great
right.
episode.